Titov, who's in Belfast. He's a Russia Affairs analyst and a lecturer at Queen's University there. Thank you, Alexander. And I'm just trying to remember exactly what our correspondent said there, what Russia considers to be in its national interest, it's not willing to compromise on. And that clearly includes the territories that it has seized. Ukraine isn't willing to give up those lands. I mean, it's the fundamental sticking point, number one, I would argue, on a ceasefire. Neither side wants to move. So can there be a peace?
Well, I mean, it depends on positions on the battlefield for both sides. And Russia is feeling that it can demand more because it is winning on the battlefield, and gradually but steadily it's moving forward. And that's the basic point the Trump administration is making to Ukrainians. You are going to lose these territories at some point. Might as well just give them up now and save the lives and destruction of Ukrainian infrastructure in the meantime. It's a very unpleasant proposition, but nevertheless, that's basically the hard reality on the ground so far as the Russians and the Americans, I say. Ukrainians and Europeans might have a different point of view, and that's why the peace at the moment is still not in sight, I would argue.
Does that mean that Russia and President Putin, with its wartime economy seemingly working pretty well, does that mean Russia's ready to just keep on with this war for the long haul for several more years if it has to?
Well, we don't know several more years, but essentially it's, as expression goes, while the grass grows, the horse starves. So, if Russia is the grass, Russian economy, the only hope for Ukraine and its supporters in the West is Russian economy somehow will collapse and just Russia will simply just stop and give up on everything. The situation in Russian economy is getting more difficult, but I don't think it's kind of getting to the point of sudden collapse anytime soon. So while in Ukraine, both in terms of military personnel, in terms of desertions, in terms of inability to recruit enough people to replace their losses, the process of disintegration seemed to be much quicker than the Russian economy is disintegrating. So that's why the Russia can continue it longer than Ukraine, it seems, on the current trends, and therefore it is a much stronger position to demand its national security interest rather than Ukraine's.
President Putin says that his opposite number, Zelensky, has no right to be there. There should have been elections. He has no right to be leading the country. I mean, obviously, that Ukraine's not in a state to hold any kind of national elections right now. Do you think that he's making that demand, one, just to irritate Zelensky, and two, is that one of the areas where it's not a serious demand and actually he'll use that as one of the things that he will give up in order to get a deal?
Well, there's no, love lost between them, and Zelensky is in a deep political trouble at home with all the corruption scandals going in. The closest people to him, he just had to fire his kind of, de facto viceroy in Ukraine, Yermak, who was basically running the internal politics for Zelensky while Zelensky was engaged in, with foreign partners and so forth. The dynamics in Ukraine now might be such that actually Zelensky is sidelines somehow just purely for domestic reasons anyway. So, but ultimately, I think what will happen is not so much Zelensky or anything else, whoever might replace him. But whether the front can hold while Ukraine negotiates, that's an absolute key. And all these corruption scandals and internal discord in Ukraine doesn't really help Ukraine with its negotiating with Americans or holding the front. So it's a very, very tough position for Ukraine now.
Thank you, Alexander. Good to speak to you. Russia Affairs analyst Alexander Titov, my guest.